Good morning. Um, we would be talking today about performance marketing. So, how we will structure ourselves is that I'll first talk to you about what performance marketing is all about, and then we'll go into further details of how to get the most out of your performance marketing. So, broadly, when we talk about performance marketing, and broad definition could be that when you have a third party advertisers your products or services in exchange for an agreed commission. Now this sort of an exchange or relationship has been there from time immemorial. As long as businesses have been there, you've been having partners who would be coming and promoting your product in exchange for. But here, what we're talking about is an online model. So, how does this traditional brand advocacy model that we talked about in the offline world move on to the online world? So, typically, what you have is that the advertiser, the performance network, and the publisher, the three broad pillars that you have in performance marketing. Now, the user would be coming on to typical advertising collaterals on publisher websites, which he would then click and move into onto the advertiser's site. So, typically, once he clicks in, what would also be there is that the users would be cookied so that they would be able to record his transactions, his clicks, his path on the advertiser's site to be able to really look at how and really build this model in which he is getting the transactions getting attributed to the relevant area. Following the completion of the agreed transaction, which would mean multiple things to multiple advertisers, and we'll talk about that in my next slide. The publisher would then be able to get a fixed fee or a percentage of the basket value. That is something that how you would want to really define or build your performance program. And obviously, the performance network in middle who will enable all this will be getting a facilitation fee. That is broadly how this model will work, and the success of this model is typically dependent on how large is the publisher base who are promoting you. You would initially start with tens and move on to over 1,000, and that's when you have over thousands of websites, publisher websites promoting you, that's when you would really see the real success of this model. It is the long tail model, so it is very important for you to be able to really go on and be able to reach out to the maximum number of publishers. Now, in terms of what are the models, now for every advertiser, what is his performance parameter would change. There would be advertisers who would need traffic on his website, so he would perhaps look at it more on a click basis. There would be other advertisers who would be looking at getting a lead on his site, interested consumer whom they could then work upon and trying to convert him into a customer. Or it could be just that you have a complete online e-commerce process already set up, drive traffic, let him take the final action on the site. Typically, if we really look at it, there would be the larger brands who would be wanting would want people to come onto their websites, whether it is for engagement or consuming further content that will be really looking at a cost per click sort of a model. The cost per lead sort of a model will come in where the purchase decision is a lot more evolved, and consumer will not really take his decision about purchasing the product right there. He would be wanting to, he would need to get further information. He would need somebody to be able to come and talk to him, be able to answer a lot more questions. And that's where the cost per lead sort of a model really comes across. Used extensively in the banking and finance sectors, where the information dissemination is a lot deeper and required. Even that comes to the final one is the cost per action or cost per sale sort of a model, typically used by a lot of these e-commerce merchants. You drive traffic onto their sites and eventually get them to really be able to drive and get the end transaction onto their site. Now, if we really look at the overall market, and I'm quoting from the India e-marketing outlook of 2003, where one of the critical things that the marketers really came back as to the question as to what is your primary goal in 2013, and over 52% of them said the primary goal of my e-marketing strategy is customer acquisition. So if customer acquisition is the most critical part, or one of the largest part that most of the marketers are focused on, that's where I think the digital marketing dovetails into it, and that's where the largest, and if we really look at it, a significant amount of online marketing spends are today really going into. It is customer acquisition focused, and that's where in the digital world, the performance marketing is sort of taking a leap forward. Now that we've talked about what the model is and what the various components are of performance marketing, let's look at it a little deeper, and what are the various components and what do you really need to do for getting the maximum out of your performance marketing. Now, the first one, and as I sort of described to you in the model, the publisher. I think the publisher plays a very, very important role over here. He is very much the person who is really the brand advocator over here. And in many ways, he is very much similar to the sales force that you have. He is the one who is representing you to the end consumer or the customer. And it is very important for you as a part of your performance marketing program to have a very, very close relationship with the key publishers. You would need to be communicating with them on a constant basis, be able to really understand what are the major factors that they are facing and what they would really need to be able to promote your product with. It is the communication that you have with each of these publishers will have to be different for each publisher type that you would have. If you have a publisher who is promoting you via content, his requirements will be very, very different from somebody who is promoting you via and comparison site, where the comparison site will be, his requirement is going to be very, very different from a content-led site. So it is important for you to understand the various buckets of publishers that you have. What is the requirement of each one of them? And as it is so happening, and it so happens in today's connected world, communication is never one-sided. It is always goes two-sided, and that's it is important for marketers to be able to really pick up the feedback from the publishers who are in touch with the consumers as to what are they typically doing on their site. What are the type of offers that they're really picking up? What are they spending more time on? So once you're able to really be able to get those feedback from them, you would then be able to design your performance programs according to them and be able to maximize on that. It's a very, very valuable insights that one can really be able to get from the various publishers, and it is. And to sum up, I think it is one really needs to accept or understand that these publishers are very much like your own sales force. You would need to equip them with the maximum amount of information that they would need to go and advocate your product. At the same time, you would also need to hear them to be able to also get a broad sense of what is happening at the market level.